Hello everyone, this is Sineve, and I'm coming to you with Crybaby, a Ben Drowned ex-reader. We're going to be starting off with chapter Sacrifices, because that is always fun. Ben grabbed my hand and led me into the hallway, then down a very long hallway. We passed by so many different doors, all with different things painted on them and nameplates next to each door. Jeff walked ahead of us, playing with his knife while humming a tune, and Ben was swinging her hands back and forth while I was looking at each door we passed. I saw that Toby's door was among the ones we passed. "Is that Toby's room?" I asked, stopping Ben. He nodded, walking up to the door. Ben knocked 3 times and waited a few seconds. Toby opened the door shirtless. He looked down at me and his eyes went wide and he quickly slammed the door. I looked at Ben with a confused look on my face and he just shrugged. Toby opened the door once again, this time with a plain black shirt on. "Sorry, I didn't know Ryan was here." Toby smiled awkwardly and scratched the back of his head. "Toby, you're gay. What do you care if a girl sees you shirtless?" Ben asked, looking a bit bored. "Just because I'm gay doesn't mean I don't have manners," Toby said. "Okay, well, why don't you come with us?" Ben was showing me around, I suggested. "Sorry, I can't. I have to do some things for Slender," Toby frowned. "It's okay. I'll come visit you again before I leave." I smiled, giving Toby a big hug. He hugged me back and waved before closing his door. "I love Toby," I said happily, pulling Ben along. We passed by Jack's door a few doors later, but Ben said he was downstairs with everyone else. Once we finally reached the stairs, I could see a big crowd of people waiting at the bottom. "I feel like I'm a bit underdressed," I said, looking up at Ben. "Nah, you're fine. Everyone else is covered in blood anyways," he said. "Oh, that's comforting," I muttered. We went down the stairs and I could feel myself shaking a bit. Once we were finally nearing the bottom, someone yelled. "Everyone shut up, she's here," they screamed. All the chatter that had been there earlier suddenly stopped completely. We reached the bottom and I could tell that each and every one of them was some kind of killer. They were covered in blood and some had their weapons visible. I held onto Ben's arm as much as I could, seeing all these people and knowing what they do. It was terrifying. Ben wrapped an arm around my waist and addressed the crowd. "Everyone back up. She's scared and needs to talk to Slender before any of you," he yelled. Everyone muttered some kind of objection before finally clearing a path. I saw Jeff among the crowd and grabbed onto him as we passed by, and he took a hold of my hand and walked with me, leaning into my ear. "Everyone here loves you. You don't have to be worried," he whispered. I nodded and put an uneasy smile on my face. Once we were finally out of the crowd, Ben took me outside. "We're going outside?" I asked. "Yeah, the ceremony has to take place in a special clearing in the woods," Ben said. Jeff still had a hold of my hand, and Ben had finally noticed. "Hey, you asshole, she's mine. I've literally made that perfectly clear," Ben yelled, pulling me closer to him. "Well, obviously not, since she held my hand first," Jeff argued back. "Shut up, you stupid, ugly poo-poo head," Ben yelled. "Hey, be nice," I said, smacking Ben on the back of the head. "Both of you apologize now," I ordered. Jeff gave Ben a dirty look before muttering an "I'm sorry," and Ben rubbed the back of his head and glared at me a bit before finally saying it back. "Geez, you both act like toddlers," I muttered. "He's the one who Ben started, but I cut him off." "I don't care. I'm ending it," I yelled. Ben shut his mouth and took a hold of one of my hands while Jeff grabbed the other one. I sighed before continued down the path Ben had led us to before. Eventually, we did reach a clearing. I could see that one of the trees looked a little weird, and I continued to stare at it, stopping in my tracks. "Good evening, child. I assume you're the famous YN that I've heard so much about. The boys never shut up about you, particularly Jeff." I heard a voice in my head, making me groan from the headache it gave me. "YN, you okay?" Ben asked, a concerned look on his face. "It's Slender," Jeff said, nodding to the weird tree. "He's hurting her," Ben said, sounding a bit angry. "She'll get used to it. We all had to," Jeff said, putting a hand on my back. I looked at the weird tree again and noticed it was gone. Suddenly it appeared right before my eyes. I screamed a bit and stumbled back, tears springing to my eyes, and Ben wrapped his arms around me and stroked my hair. "It's just Slender. He won't hurt you," Ben whispered. I looked at him frightened but nodded. "Welcome," he said simply. "Hi," I waved a bit. "Your friend is here. The ceremony is already complete, but it seems she was taken wrongfully," he said. Wait, what? I was supposed to be here when it happened," I said loudly. "She came back quicker than expected. She wasn't supposed to die that day. Fate made a mistake, it seems. They took her instead of their intended target," he said. "What do you mean?" I asked. "You were supposed to die, Wyan, not Cassidy." His voice seemed to echo in my mind. "What?" I whispered, my eyes wide. "The only reason she died instead of you is because Ben was there. He kept the man from killing you. He fought quite vigorously to keep the knife from entering you, injuring himself in the process," Slender explained. "You did?" I asked quietly, turning to Ben. He nodded and lifted up his shirt, revealing a gruesome wound. I could tell he tried to treat it himself, but failed. Why didn't you tell me? I asked. I didn't want to make you feel bad. You were already super upset, and I didn't want to put more on your plate, he said quietly. I wrapped my arms around his neck, embracing him. The gods are angry with you, YN. They needed a sacrifice in return. Chapter Lovers Amongst the Stars. What do you mean? Jeff asked. Ben kept me pressed against him, a hand on my back. In order for Cassidy to come back, someone needs to be given up in return, Sunder said. I'll do it, I said, breaking free from Ben's embrace. I stood up, Ben getting up with me. No, you're not. I just got you to admit your love for me. You can't leave, Ben objected. I need Cassie to live the rest of her life, with or without me. You'll find someone else who loves you. Cassie won't find another way to come back to life, I said. She's here now if you wish to say goodbye, Sunder said. Yes, please, I said, starting to tear up. Sunder disappeared for a second before reappearing with Cassie by his side. She glanced around before finally seeing me. Her eyes went wide and she ran to me, tackling me to the ground. I had a quick breakdown, tears pouring down my cheeks, a happy and relieved smile on my face. I can't believe you're here. You're alive, I yelled. She broke her hug and put her hands on my cheeks, wiping my tears away. She gave me a loving look and kissed my forehead. YN, you've always known that I was in love with you, right? She asked quietly. I shook my head and sniffled. Well, it's true, and I know you're probably planning on dying so that I can stay alive, but I can't let you do that. Not to yourself, your future, or Benny over here, she said, glancing at Ben. He loves you, I can tell, and you love him back. When I was dead, I could see you. I saw that you two kissed. I saw how he held you in a way that I couldn't. I saw how he risked his life to make sure you didn't get hurt. I see the way he looks at you like you're the only person on Earth. And most importantly, you look at him in the way that I always dreamed you would look at me. It's no secret that I was in love with you, but I'm ready to go. I'm ready to move on into the afterlife, and while I'm traveling the world as a ghost, I'll meet the hottest bitch ever, and she'll be my big titty goth ghost GF, just like I always tweeted about. So no, you are not going to die for me. Sorry, babe, she rambled. God, I love you, I smiled, giving her another hug. Okay, I gotta go, she said, giving me a kiss on the cheek just like she always did. Except there was something about it. Maybe it was the fact that I knew it was the last one I'd ever get from her, or maybe it was the fact that she'd move on. But it felt final. Slender wrapped a tentacle around her and laid her onto a large stone at the end of the clearing. I watched from afar as he held a glass bottle up to her mouth, and she took a sip and laid back relaxing. After a few minutes of silence, Slender set the bottle down and teleported back to us. I cried, and Ben held me in his arms. I've watched my best friend die twice now. Both times I was unable to save her, but at least this time she died in peace. After about half an hour, I managed to compose myself. Jeff and Slender had both left so I could get myself together, and Ben stayed by my side, rubbing my back and whispering soothing words into my ear. He held me against his chest as he laid back in the grass, looking up at the sky. It was sunset now, and the reds, the yellows, and blues created a masterpiece. A few stars were already out twinkling, and I hiccuped as I watched them shine. Ben dried my tears, looking into my eyes affectionately. My heart was beating a bit faster as he leaned in and placed a kiss on my lips. I felt all my problems and worries melt away. The warmth and taste of him brought me a comfort I never knew. The way his arms felt wrapped around me was like heaven on earth, and I could feel the ghost of Cassie was watching us, smiling as she wraps her arms around the waist of her newfound lover. Who knew that love could bring so much comfort? That is the end of those 2 chapters. If you guys like that, let me know. I apologize. I am so tired because I started going back to work and my brain feels like mushy gushy. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought. And we also have to figure out what stories we're going to read next because holy crap. Don't know what we're going to do, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. You guys have a absolutely wonderful day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.